Good morning. The time is now 12:01 p.m., and I will call the August 2024 meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I'm Bega Chairperson Norma Hutcheson. This meeting is being held at the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability at 1030 15th Street Northwest, Suite 700 West, and virtually. Joining me today for this meeting are Board Members Felice Smith, Darrin Sobin, who is with us virtually, and Melissa Tucker. Together, the four of us constitute a quorum for this meeting. Since it was first posted, the agenda has not changed. Please take a moment to review the agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll offer the motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, it's been moved that we adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting. If no one has any comments or suggestion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any nays? Any nays? Hearing none, the board adopts the agenda for today's meeting. Before us today are the July 2024 draft meeting minutes. Will a member please make a motion to consider approval of the meeting minutes?
I'll offer the motion to adopt the draft meeting minutes for July.
Okay, your mic is on. Okay, will someone second the motion?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that the board consider the approval of the July 2024 meeting minutes. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the board approves the July 2024 meeting minutes. Next, we will hear a report from the Office of Open Government. Niquelle Allen, Director of the Office of Open Government, will provide a report on behalf of the office. Director Allen, please proceed.
Thank you and good afternoon, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I am Niquelle Allen, Director of Open Government. I am pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Open Government, also known as OOG. Since the last board meeting, OOG has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the District of Columbia government and the actions of those who represent them. I will begin my report with Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice given by the office since the last board meeting. I have not issued an advisory opinion since the board's last meeting. Informal advice. Since the last board meeting, OOG has responded informally via email or telephone to requests for assistance as follows: 4 requests for Open Meetings Act advice, 4 requests for Freedom of Information Act advice, and 10 requests for assistance with our website, open-dc.gov. Next is meeting monitoring. OOG staff attends public bodies meetings in person and remotely to ensure compliance with the Open Meetings Act. They also inspect public bodies websites and OOG central meeting calendar for public meeting notices and records. OOG attorneys provide legal advice on OMA compliance and take corrective action if necessary. During July 2024, OOG's legal staff attended 23 public body meetings. As a result of the monitoring, OOG communicated 1 corrective measure. The public body failed to cite the meeting location. I will now detail OOG's training and outreach activities. First is Ask the Experts. On July 9th, 2024, Attorney Lewis attended Ask the Experts, a GovQA webinar. GovQA is the district's new FOIA management software program. The training addressed frequently asked questions about how to navigate the GovQA program. FOIA basic training for beginners. On July 16th, I, along with Attorney Skirbo and Attorney Lewis, attended the OOG FOIA webinar, FOIA Basic Training for Beginners, facilitated by Chief Counsel Louis Neal. The course introduced the basics of the D.C. Freedom of Information Act and provided instructions on how to perform FOIA officer duties. Probate and wills training. On July 17th and 2024, Attorney Skirbo attended probate and wills training presented by the D.C. Bar Pro Bono Center. The training provided pro bono attorneys with essential knowledge on probate law. Participants learned about the probate process, roles and responsibilities of administrators, and strategies for effectively managing probate cases. Next is FOIA training for the Office of the Deputy Mayor, Planning and Economic Development. On July 18th, 2024, Attorney Lewis attended the FOIA training for DMPED employees presented by DMPED's FOIA officer. The training provided an overview of the FOIA process to DMPED employees with an emphasis on the most common exemptions that impact the office's responses to FOIA requests. Effectively managing the FOIA process. On July 23rd, 2024, I facilitated effectively managing the FOIA process as part of OOG's ongoing training on FOIA and our webinar series. The course included an overview of the life cycle of a FOIA request from receiving the request to processing and responding to the request. Chief Counsel Neal, Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, and Paralegal Brown attended the session. How to structure a winning argument. On July 24th, 2024, I, along with Attorney Skirbo and Paralegal Brown, attended How to Structure a Winning Legal Argument training presented by the Office of the Attorney General. This session covered best practices for outlining briefs, motions, and memos, as well as the internal structure of factual statements and legal arguments that fall within that framework. Get Organized with Microsoft 365 workshop. On July 24th, Paralegal Brown attended Get Organized with Microsoft workshop sponsored by the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. The workshop provided a virtual demonstration of how to operate, navigate, and manage documents using Microsoft Teams. And last is commonly used FOIA exemptions. On July 30th, Attorney Lewis facilitated this training as part of OOG's FOIA training webinar series. The session covered the most frequently used exemptions and provided instructions on how to properly use FOIA exemptions and make redactions. I, along with Chief Counsel Neal, Attorney Scoville, and Paralegal Brown, attended this session. Litigation and legislative update regarding open government matters is as follows. Litigation, Gooch versus Metropolitan Police Department. Well, Gooch versus District of Columbia, and the agency is Metropolitan Police Department. It's case number 2023-CAB-002404 in D.C. Superior Court. I first reported on this case in December 2023. A requester plaintiff sued the district for records related to his conviction. He had received a partly redacted record. Cross motion for summary judgment were filed and are in Dropbox. The district argued that the redactions were correct applications of D.C. FOIA's privacy exemptions and the, quote, other law exemption, namely the Driver Privacy Protection Amendment Act of 2012, sorry about that, prohibitions on the release and use of certain personal information from motor vehicle records and accident reports. On July 2nd, the Superior Court denied the district's motion for summary judgment. The court concluded that the record contained a genuine factual dispute regarding surveillance footage. While MPD contends the footage is not responsive to the FOIA request, the court found that Mr. Gooch's broader request likely encompasses evidentiary materials collected and retained by MPD, including surveillance footage. Regarding the redactions, the court found that it could not conclude that MPD's stated interest in privacy outweighed the public interest in disclosure. Specifically, the court expressed its skepticism that the broad redaction of witness statements was necessary to fulfill MPD's stated interest in witness privacy. On July 24th, the District of Columbia filed a motion for reconsideration of its motion for summary judgment. The court order, as well as the district's motion, are in Dropbox, and OOG staff will continue to monitor this case. D.C. Open Government Coalition versus the District of Columbia. The agency in this case is the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. Case number 2023-CAB-007-251 in D.C. Superior Court. As I have previously reported, a hearing was held before Judge Milton Lee on June 21st in the following motions, arguments regarding the materials provided by OCTO to the DC Open Government Coalition. Judge Lee ordered the parties to meet and confer, and the case in which the Open Government Coalition seeks an accounting of the backlog of public records requests submitted through FOIA Express and the public access link was scheduled to have a hearing on July 31st at 2 p.m. This hearing was scheduled and canceled due to the unavailability of opposing counsel and is waiting rescheduling. The Open Government Coalition filed a precipice on June 29th, and a copy of that is in Dropbox, and OOG will continue to monitor this important case. Legislation. Act is next. Act A25-0496, DC Water Critical Infrastructure Freedom of Information Clarification Emergency Amendment Act of 2024. This act is to amend on an emergency basis the Freedom of Information Act to exempt from disclosure critical infrastructure information or plans that contain critical infrastructure information for the critical infrastructures of the District of Columbia Water and Sewer Authority. This act amends Section 2 of FOIA by striking the phrase critical infrastructures of companies that are regulated by the Public Service Commission and inserting the phrase critical infrastructures of the District of Columbia Water and Sewer Authority or companies that are regulated by the Public Service Commission of the District of Columbia in its place. The measure was introduced on June 10th, passed by the Council on June 11th, signed by the Mayor on June 26th, and published in the DC Register on July 5th. This temporary legislation expires on September 24th. The Mayor has stated her intention to work with the Council in the fall to enact permanent legislation. I'll end my August report with administrative matters. The first is FY24 budget closeout and FY25 budget for OOG. OOG is in the final quarter of the current fiscal year, and we have begun the closeout process. FY 2024 closeout will be handled by the administrative division. OOG's current budget is sufficient to meet our spending pressures and adequately cover citywide needs related to OOG services. The next fiscal year's budget was submitted by the council to the mayor, and she returned it unsigned, which was short of a veto. The DC Council gave the budget final approval on July 16th, and congressional approval is pending. OOG's FY25 budget has been unchanged, and we will face budget shortfalls in the next fiscal year that may impact our programs. We will continue to work with the Office of the Chief Financial Officer to find solutions. And lastly, attorney advisor update. OOG continued the recruitment process for the new attorney advisor in July. We are currently conducting interviews and expect to conclude the hiring process this month. This concludes the Office of Open Government's August 1st, 2024 report. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Allen. Are there any questions for Director Allen?
I have a couple of things. First, for those of you who may not have heard, Judge Milton Lee has been selected as the new Chief Judge of the Superior Court, and that's to be effective on October 1, just for your information. Second, concerning the budget director Allen, what do you think we may affect? You said that the shortfall may impact our programs. What specifically are you worried about?
Concerned about our ability to attend trainings and conferences. Also, the parliamentary procedure portal, whether we'll be able to continue with that license towards the end of the fiscal year. So we do require, right now at this point, it's kind of a choice of one or the other. So I'm hoping that the Chief Financial Officer will be able to assist us with continuing the portal. That's really the program that's in jeopardy, because I would not want to keep our attorneys from being able to attend training.
But as far as our personnel, we're not looking at any reduction in force or anything like that.
We're not, we do have funding for all of our personnel.
Thank goodness for that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
It wasn't always the case.
That's grateful that if any cuts have to happen, it would be things we could make adjustments for.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Director Allen? Hearing none, we'll move to the next item on our agenda, and that's a report from the Director of the Office of Government Ethics, Ashley Cooks. Director Cooks, please proceed.
Chairperson. I'm Ashley Cook, Director of Government Ethics. I'm pleased to present this report on the activities of the Ethics OGE. First is an update on the status of OGE operations. The information reported today regarding OGE's case affect any status changes that may occur because of action taken by the board during today's meeting. For open investigations by status, we have a grand total of 62 matters. For open undocketed matters, we have a grand total of 6. Pending state investigations by status, we have 42 matters that are closed pending collection, 5 matters that are stayed pending D.C. Superior Court case, 1 matter stayed for OAG False Claims Act case, 5 matters stayed for OIG investigation, 2 matters stayed for U.S. District Court case for a grand total of 55. For regulatory matters by status, we have 22 matters that are closed pending collection, 2 matters that are open for a grand total of 20. Again, the number of current open investigations is 62. We have 13 matters that are stayed. The number of open preliminary and formal investigations includes 9 new matters. The investigative team resolved 15 investigations since the board last met. This total does not reflect the number of complaints that were dismissed for a lack of jurisdiction. OGE will publish its quarterly complaint report for the 3rd quarter of fiscal year 2024 next week, and a copy will be placed in the Dropbox for the board to review at the next meeting. OGE has continued its communications and referrals to the Chief Financial Officer's Central Collection Unit, CCU, for collection of delinquent debt. We continue holding monthly meetings with the CCU team. Next is an update on trainings and outreach. First, professional development trainings attended by staff. Program Support Assistant Niquelle Titus attended DIFS travel and approval reimbursement training. IT Specialist Kevin Brown attended DOJ's final rule ADA website accessibility for state and local governments. Dr. Courtney Walker took Microsoft 365 cloud storage. Attorney Advisor Maurice Echo attended the Office of the Attorney General's OAG on how to structure a winning argument. General Counsel Raj completed 2 courses. First one is Ethical Issues for Government Lawyers, and what every lawyer, human resources professional, and key strategic decision maker should know about non-compete and restrictive covenants. For trainings conducted by staff, since the July board meeting, OGE conducted 4 trainings, which included 2 new employee orientations, a July quarterly board and commissions training, and the July Counselor Brown bag session. On Monday, July 29th, Senior Board Attorney Lynn Tran presented the July Ethics Counselor Brown bag session. This was an informative and interactive session in which Attorney Tran presented of the last 8 advisory opinions published by OGE. She explained the 30-day comment period and publication process, and the fact that advisory opinions can be either sua sponte or issued on request. 18 ethics counselors attended and asked questions. A copy of the presentation was placed in the Dropbox. 21 employees completed ethics training using PeopleSoft during the time. For outreach, OGE is in the final stages of planning our annual conference, Ethics Week 2020, take place October 15th through 18th. This year's theme is Empowered by Ethics, and the courses are designed to provide attendees with knowledge and ways to apply ethics in open government. The first day of the conference will take place at our office, but the remaining days will be virtual. We plan to offer new courses such as common ethics violations, learn them and avoid them, a recusal workshop, and a fireside chat, journalism and ethics, as well as traditional courses such as parliamentary procedure and being ethical is harder than you think. We plan to post the finalized schedule in the next coming weeks. A copy of the draft schedule was placed in a Dropbox for your review. Next is an update on advisory opinions and advice. First is informal advice. OGE's legal staff provided advice for approximately 24 ethics inquiries, which is 30 less than the 54 reported at the last board meeting. This number does not include responses we have provided to questions regarding the lobbyist and FDS e-filing systems. Next is an update on formal advisory opinions. As mentioned last month, 3 advisory opinions were published on July 12, 2024 for a 30-day comment period. We have received several comments on the advisory opinion concerning advisory neighborhood commissioner sign-on letters. The advisory opinion responds to the Office of the Advisory Neighborhood Commission's request for advice on the parameters around the drafting, circulating, and sending of advisory neighborhood commissioner. The other 2 advisory opinions, which are guidance on social media use for official purposes by district government elected officials and district government employees, and post-employment attorney appearance advisory opinion, have not received any comments. OGE is working on an advisory opinion that addresses the lobbying reporting and regulations, as well as an advisory opinion that deals with an employee's outside activities. Next is an update on legislation and rulemaking. The financial disclosure rulemaking. OGE has identified board and commission members that do not meet the definition of public official under DC Official Code Section 1-1161.0147 and don't file financial disclosure even though they engage in conduct that creates a financial conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest. OGE drafted a proposed rulemaking that would designate those board and commission members as public financial disclosure statement filers. After the 30-day comment period, a second proposed rulemaking, which contains minor edits and added 4 additional boards, was published on July 12, 2024. It will remain in proposed status for 30 days for public comment before becoming final with action on or after August 12, 2024. We are in the process of drafting another rulemaking, which is drafted as technical and substantive changes to the financial disclosure regulation. This rulemaking will provide clarity for regulations that are ambiguous and correct language that the Ethics Act and Chapter 18 of the District Personnel Regulations. We will present the proposed rulemaking at the next board meeting. Next, an update on OGE administrative matters. The 2025 budget oversight hearing. On June 25th, the council passed the FY 2025 Budget Support Act of 2024. This legislation includes an amendment to the Ethics Act that will increase lobbying registration fees and fines. Specifically, the act increases lobbying registration fees from $250 to $350 for private entities and from $50 to $100 for nonprofit entities. It also increases the late filing fee from a maximum fine of $300 to $5,000. The act will become effective after congressional review. Next is an update on financial disclosure statement, FDS. Pursuant to DC Official Code Sections 1-1162.24 and 1-1162.25, public officials and certain government employees disclosure statement as a means of transparency and that violates the financial conflict of interest statute. Bega is responsible for ensuring that employees and public officials who meet the statutory requirement file their annual financial disclosure statements. The 2024 FDS season has closed. The 2024 financial disclosure statements for calendar year 2023 were due on May 15, 2024. Through July 2024, 94% of designated filers submitted their statements. The FDS team has collected agency financial disclosure review reports. The FDS team has begun enforcement measures for those filers who did not submit their statements in a timely manner. The compliance enforcement letters will be sent on August 9th, 2020. And last is an update on lobbying registration and reporting. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.27A, a person who receives compensation or expends funds in an amount of $250 or more in any 3 consecutive calendar month period for lobbying shall register with the Director of Government Ethics and pay the required registration fee. According to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.30, each registrant shall file quarterly reports concerning the registrant's lobbying activity during the previous quarter. On July 26th, the LOR 495 registrants and clients a notice that the 2024 Q2 activity reports were due on July 15th. In response, registrants filed 383 activity reports, 17 new registrations, 4 renewal registrations, and 18 termination reports. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.29B2, the Office of Government Ethics publishes a summary of registered lobbyist information submitted to the office on or before August 15, 2024 by persons with the director. This summary will appear in the DC Register on August 2nd, 2024. Lastly, the LOR team conducted a compliance audit looking for registrants and clients who had not filed activity reports. The results found 13 registrants and their clients failed to file 2024 Q1 activity reports. On July 26, 2024, the LOR team sent enforcement notices to the primary contacts for those who failed to file. Thank you. This concludes the Office of Government Ethics report. I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Cooks. Are there any questions for Director Cooks? Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda are public comments. The public was invited to submit comments in writing by 11 a.m. today. The board received 1 comment. Members of the public in attendance at this meeting also have an opportunity to make comment at this time. Okay. If there are no comments from the public, we will proceed with the next item on the agenda. And that's our executive or closed session. This item is to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B14, to consult with an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B4A, to discuss personnel matters including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal, or resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B10, to deliberate on a decision in which the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B13, and to discuss contract negotiation strategies pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B2. May I have a motion to enter into executive session? Please.
Make that motion. Sorry.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the board enter into executive session. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 No opposed. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Board members, please log off of this meeting, or we will move to executive session in the next room, those of us who are present. And we will return to this meeting after the conclusion of the executive session to report out on any matters decided, finish any other business, and to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Good afternoon. The time is now 1:12 p.m. and we are back on the record. The board approved a negotiated disposition in the following two matters: 24-0057-P in Ray in Torino and 24-0056-P in Ray C. Leon. The board dismissed matter 21-0005-F in Ray K. Harris, and the board approved a notice of violation in 24-0010-F in Ray Marcellus Willis. It is now 1:52. I'm sorry, what is that? 1:13, I'm sorry, p.m. And this concludes the meeting of the DC Board of Government Ethics and Government Accountability. The next meeting will be held at the board here at 1030 15th Street Northwest, Suite 700, and virtually on September 12th, 2024 at 12 noon. Thank you.